We are here to go over the Vineland 3 Adaptive Behavior Scale results for Houston. Adaptive behavior is things that people do to function in their everyday lives. This is different from like doing an ability measure. Ability measure looks at how a student does in a certain testing situation, whereas the Vineland 3 is focused on what that child actually does in their daily life. The Vineland 3 is also what is called a norm-based assessment. That means that the child is compared to other children his own age. This assessment is comprised of 3 adaptive behavior domains. That includes the communication, daily living skills, and socialization. Each one of the domains is given what is called a standard score, and how the standard score works is 100 is the average, and then it's given a 15-point what is called a standard deviation. So you go 15 points on either side of that 100. So the average range would be considered 85 to 115. So when we're talking about the scores, that's what the average range is 85 to 115. We'll look at the score for each one of those domains: communication, daily living skills, as well as the socialization, and then also what is called the composite score, which is looking at the overall picture, so those 3 scores combined. Houston's composite score came out actually at exactly 100, so dead on average. And if you look at this graph here, on this graph here you can see, here's the line showing the average. This score here is the adaptive behavior composite, so looking at his overall score, he's dead on at 100. Then when you take and look at each one of the other domains, you've got communication, which looks at how he listens, understands, is able to express himself through speech, and reading and writing. His standard score for that is 87, which has him fall in the 19th percentile. 87 is still within that 85 to 115 range, so he's still within that average range, but it is considered a relative weakness for him because it's on the lower end of that average range. The daily living skills, he had a standard score of 121, which falls into the 92nd percentile, and that gives him a relative strength. He's up above that average range there with that 85 to 115, his score being a 121, he's well above that. And then on socialization, which is how he functions in social situations, his standard score is a 93, which falls in that 32nd percentile. That gives him comes out as a relative weakness for him. He's still well within the average range at a 93, but just for him overall, it comes out as a relative weakness.
What does percentile rank mean?
Okay, what that means is, like on this here, where on communication, where he falls within that 19th percentile, that means that he scored at or better than 19% of the other kids his age. Mm-hmm. And then on daily living skills, he was 92nd percentile, so he scored at or better than 92% of the kids his own age. And then on the socialization, same thing, 32nd percentile means that he scored at or better than 32% of the kids his age in that norm group. Mm-hmm. Then we also have down here, if you look back at this graph here, you'll see where it talks about a confidence level here. I've rated this at a confidence level of 90%. What that means is that we're 90% sure and have 90% confidence in the fact that if we give this test again tomorrow or the next day or next week, that he's going to fall within this same score here. And so what it does is it gives you a range here. So if you look at the composite, you've got 97 to a 103. So we're 90% sure that at this measurement he came out at 100. But we're 90% sure that if we gave it again, he's going to fall within that 97 to 103. So that's the range we're giving him. If you look at communication, on this measure he came out at 87. Based on our confidence level, we would put him at somewhere between 82 to 92 if we were to do it again. His range for daily living skills is 114 to 128. And for socialization is 88 to 98. So you can see on this here, you've got communication. And here's that average line again, that 100. And then you can see the little bars here showing for that confidence level what his range would be. So he could fall below that average just a little bit. So that's why these two areas are his two weaker areas.
So he's weak in communication and socially.
Yes, he's like I said, he still does fall within the average range there. But those are the areas that that you could encourage him more in and work with him in, because he is very strong in the daily living skills. You can see from this here. Do you have any other questions?
No, I guess not.
Okay, well, thank you very much.